maybe.
Okay.
Oh, we are. Okay, so now I need to share this one, right?
I think so.
How do I do that? So we know it works down here. Copy.
New link.
It says there's a couple people. There we are. There's 2 watching. I just want to wait a minute to see if more people come to this one because there was 12 people waiting for the other one. I think the time settings must be off. Now I have 3 people. Folks, for those of you who are here, I'm so sorry. I believe there must have been some sort of an issue with the time settings because when I tried to go live with the scheduled event, it would not let me. So I started a new stream and hopefully everyone will pop over to this one. So bear with us. Get yourself a sip of water, maybe a towel, listen to your music. Yeah, you can just keep that open. We'll just leave it open. Well, there's still 11 people waiting for the other one. So I don't know what to do.
Did you post the link in the
I did. I posted the link in the comments and I posted it back on Facebook. But I'm not sure if they're not seeing that. Maybe if I delete the other one. Oh, shoot. I don't know what's going on. Okay, now I'm up to 6. Hang in there, folks. Okay. I think people are coming over now. Sorry, everybody. We're going to go ahead and get started, and people can join us when they're able to. So I'm glad this is free because if you were paying for this, you would probably be not very happy right now. So I'm here with Jubilee. She's my sister-in-law, and I'm really excited to bring you some live classes from time to time. So as I mentioned before, what you're going to need for this one potentially is a yoga block or a book, a resistance band, a towel or a blanket, and a sense of humor. Please, that's the most important part. We have dogs and other distractions. So we're going to start in a side lying position. You're going to lie on your left side. So are we. And you can either put your head on a towel or a blanket or your yoga block, or you can use your bottom arm as a pillow. And we're going to start this practice as we do most every other yoga practice with just a little bit of stillness and breathing awareness. So you don't really even have to change anything right now about your breath except for to observe it. Notice how it is. Depending on the kind of morning you've had, it might feel a little choppy or restricted. So just try to soften the edges of your breath, smooth it out. I invite you to slow down your breathing a little bit more than normal. One way to help slow down your breathing is to breathe in and out through your nose. If you know and enjoy Ujjayi pranayama, you could engage that now. Gentle restriction in the back of your throat to make that light sighing sound. Bring a softness to your jaws. There is a new link in the Facebook group as well. For those of you that can't see it on YouTube, the new link is in the Facebook post, not the group, but the post. Okay. So I might not be doing all of this. I'm going to have Jubilee demo a lot of it. So we're going to get started with some hip rotations. So Jubilee, I'm going to have you bring your knees out in front of your hips. You're going to stay right there. Yep, knees in front of the hips, and then make sure your head and neck are comfortable. And with your top arm, just reach it out in front of you and brace against the floor. So you have something to kind of push against, and you're going to keep all of this stuff really still and strong. Press down through your bottom leg. With your right leg, squeeze your right heel towards your tush. Yep. And then you're going to pull this right leg in towards your chest for hip flexion. And then open your leg like a gate. Just take it out. Beautiful. Now internally rotate your hip and send it behind you like you're going to touch the wall with your toes. Beautiful. Now pull your knee back into your chest. Let's do it again. Open up your leg, abduction, internal rotation, send your toe back, and hip extension. We'll do one more in that direction. Bring it forward, tuck in, try to keep your back straight. Open wide, internal spiral, reach behind you, and then sweep it back towards your chest. Let's do a few in the other direction. Reach back first, angle your knee up, open your leg, and sweep it around to the front. Awesome. Let's do 2 more. Really smooth, slow, and strong here. Press down with your left leg for stability. Last one. Awesome. Now, when you finish that one, let's come up onto the elbow and forearm, but stay in this side lying position. You're going to let your ribs sink towards your mat a little bit and let this left shoulder slouch. Reach your right arm out in front of you at about shoulder height. And then push the floor away and lift your left ribs so that you're not shrugging or slouching into your left shoulder. Let's do that just a few times. You're going to shrug the left shoulder, scapular elevation, and then push the floor away. Make some more space between your left ear and shoulder. 2 more times. Lower it, which is an elevation, and then lift your ribs up. 1 more time. Now keep this left arm strong, pushing the floor away with your shoulder. A little bit of side body core awareness here. Notice if you can feel a stretch in your left ribs. You feel that, Jubes? Okay. With your right arm, we're going to retract and protract the shoulder blades. So first you're going to reach your fingers towards the space in front of you, and your arm's going to stretch out in front of you a little more. That's scapular protraction. And then draw your straight arm back into your shoulder capsule. That's retraction. We'll do that a few times. Your elbow might want to bend, so just try to keep that right elbow straight. I'm going to go check the notes again. Continue on with your retraction, protraction. Okay. One of my students and fellow teachers calls this flossing your shoulder blades. Yeah. Last one. And then you're going to come up onto your seat and just cross your legs for a second. If you have never taken my class before and you traditionally only take flow style yoga classes, the majority of this class is going to feel like a warm up for you. So it can feel like it's moving a little slow at first. But when you get to the poses that we would normally consider part of our flow, those poses are going to be really well supported and informed by all of this stuff that we're doing now. So hang in there. Let's go now and lay on our right side. Bring knees right in front of the hips. Make sure your head is happy, your neck is happy. Bring your left arm out in front of you for a brace and then press down with your bottom leg. We'll take our hip circles again. The knee's going to come into the chest. Open it like a gate. Internal spiral of the thigh bone to reach back and then into extension. Pull it back in. Everything else stays really quiet here. We're just going to mobilize the left femur bone essentially. Your pelvis might want to open along. Try to keep it stacked and neutral facing. Last one in this direction, and then we'll go the other way. Now reach back. Open wide. Pull in. 2 more. Add in your own little resistance around your hip to make this stronger. Complete this cycle, and then we'll come up onto the right forearm. First, let your right rib cage, did I say left or right? Okay. Let your right ribs shift towards the floor so it feels like you're being a little lazy in your right shoulder. That's your scapula elevating. And then you're going to depress it, pull it down, and lift your ribs away from the floor. Reach your left arm out in front of you, hold that, and just continue with these little shoulder shrugs on the right shoulder. The question that someone just asked is this being recorded? And yes, it is. So you'll be able to watch it back if you can't see it live. We'll work out these kinks eventually. It's a process. Now hold the depression. So press into your mat, make a lot of space between your ear and your shoulder. So you're kind of anti-shrugging. And now we're going to retract and protract with the left arm. Just straight forward and back. Pull it back, reach it forward, floss your shoulder blades. This type of warm-up really makes down dog feel, for me anyway, feel much more comfortable, spacious, and strong. Last 2. Excellent. Okay, let's make our way to a tabletop position. We're going to go ahead and face this direction. Spread out your fingers and bring your wrists about under your shoulders. Sorry for the view.
Oh, it's a good one.
And now we're gonna just start to swirl our weight around our wrists. Rock your hips back, left, forward, right, and back. Anchor down through your index knuckle, your thumb knuckle, your pinky knuckle, and squeeze a little bit through the fingertips. Let's go the other way. And then grab your resistance band. And for those of you that don't have a resistance band, it's okay. You can do this without. But the resistance band just gives you a little extra activation. So just lay it across your mat where your hands would be in your tabletop and put your right hand over it so it's not going to slide. You could even hold on. Yeah, just like that's good. And then hold the other end with your left hand. You're just going to maintain a really stable tabletop position with neutral spine curves. So that just means no cat, no cow, just finding your neutral. And we're going to abduct this left arm out to the side. And if you want more resistance, then give yourself less slack. If you want more resistance, of course, you give yourself a little more slack. Let's do just 5 pulls. I think I gave you the stronger band. Is it hard? See if you can move just your arm without opening your chest. Last one. And then switch. Jubilee's really strong. That's why I gave her the thick band. And this is Fox. He's very curious about what's happening here. Last couple. Great. And then let's just take a little break for our wrists. So just sit back on your heels, set that band aside. What do you feel in your shoulders?
I think my shoulders have been sore.
Her shoulders have been sore already. All right, so we're just going to take a little break here. Let's go for a little toe stretch here. Tuck your toes. If this bothers your feet for any reason, don't do it. Just sit on the tops of your feet. But if you can tuck your toes under, that'd be great. And we'll either keep the hands down for a little less load on the feet, or you can come up and sit in this little toe squat for a little more. And let's utilize this time to do some wrist circles. Try to keep your forearms in one spot and just rotate the wrists in each direction. You can do this with an open hand or a fist. You could even just go side to side. Flexion, extension, till the toes start to cry. How are they feeling? They're crying? Okay, good. Let's get off the toes. And you're just gonna get a little tap, tap, tap. And spread out your fingers again. Let's go about shoulders wide, a little wider maybe with your hands. You can get rid of that. Tuck your toes under. And really slow, start to lift your knees and stretch your hips up and back for downward dog. So you're gonna go as slow as you can. Yep. Press your chest slightly back towards your thighs. You can keep a little bend in your knees and then just let your head kind of relax between your arms. Really nice. Down dog, you might like to pedal a little bit, sway your hips, make it feel good. Oh, that is so adorable. He's like laying underneath her on his back. Super cute. Okay, come back down to your tabletop. And let's just turn the other way for a while for a different view. Step your right foot straight off to the right. And with this one, your toes will be facing the front of your mat. And arch of your right foot about in line with your left knee, more or less. We're going to try to keep our upper body just like it is without leaning left or right. Push into your arms real strong. Even push down into your left leg and then try to float your right leg off the ground, even if it's just an inch or so, yeah. And then sweep that right leg back behind you, about hip height, reach your left arm forward. Inhale here, and then as you exhale, you're gonna row with your arm, pulling down and back, and take your right knee to the outside of your right arm bone. Yeah, just like that. Inhale to reach. Exhale to row and pull your leg forward. Last one. Bring your left hand back down, but kick your right leg back one more time. And then step your right foot back out to the right. Try to hover it before you set it down until your hip is good and tired. Ooh, and then set it down. Now rock your hips back towards your heel and just take a nice little rest. This feels a little bit like half child's pose in the left leg and a straddle split in the right leg. Good job, Fox. If you don't have room for your left leg to step out to the side, you can just shuffle over sideways on your mat. Let's come back up to table and switch legs. Yep. So step your left leg out, toes towards the front of your mat, trunk in neutral, find those natural curves, find a little bit of a brace and a broadening in your upper back, root through your palms, press down through your right shin, and try to float your left leg. Keep it floating and reach it behind you. Level out your hips and shoulders, button up your low ribs, reach your right arm forward, other right arm. Inhale here. Exhale, pull with your arm and tuck with your leg. Left knee towards the left elbow. There you go. 2 more. Find your breathing. Make it really relaxing. You might kind of convince yourself that this isn't a hard thing to do if your breath feels really soft and supple. I think we can do 1 more. Now put your right hand back down, kick your left leg backwards again. And as slow as you can, make that half circle sweep out to the left. Try to hover so your ankle is about in line with your right knee. And then set it down. Yes. Oh, keep it out to the left though. We're going to do that little sit back. So we haven't practiced this, you guys. She's never done any of this stuff before. So guess what? It's not going to be perfect. Such is life. I even asked her earlier, I said, do you want to run through some of this stuff? She's like, no, let's just do it. Brave lady. All right, let's come back to down dog. Take your time setting that up. If you want to challenge yourself a little bit, start yourself in a hovering tabletop. Tuck your toes under, lift your knees just a sliver off the ground, and then make it about a 10 count to find your downward dog. Hips go back, spine stretches. Eventually the seat lifts. And then once again, you can pedal out the legs, make sure your feels nice. Widen your upper back. That's a beautiful down dog, Jubilee. Did Fox teach you how to do that? Let's come on forward to a plank pose. Shoulders over the wrists. And hopefully you know that if any time plank gets to be too much for any part of you, go ahead and set your knees down. Just make sure they don't land directly under your hips. Rock forward and back on your toes a few times. Lift your hips up and back, downward dog. Shift forward to a plank. Find a sense of your arms trying to pull back towards your toes and hover yourself to the floor real slow. Yeah. Try to keep your head reaching forward, really nice. Untuck your toes, press your feet into the ground. With your arms just hovering off the ground, keep your arms in this push-up position, lengthen your neck, tuck your tail slightly, and now lift your chest a little bit for a baby working cobra. Squeeze your shoulder blades together, try to curl your spine over an imaginary ball behind you, and then lower all the way down. Tuck your toes under this time, breathe in. As you exhale, push the floor away really strong. You can keep your knees down or not. That was excellent. Let's try that 1 more time, a little bit different. Shift forward to your plank, take your time. As slowly as possible, maintain this strong and long plank and pull yourself to the floor. You can think of this as a pull-up motion. Once you get there, untuck your toes. Now this time, stretch your arms behind you with your wrists extended so it looks like you're going to high five the wall behind you. Yes. Like that. Perfect. Tuck your chin slightly, lift your chest and your arms as high as they'll go. Keep your legs firm. Bend your elbows, place your hands beside your chest, cobra, or upward dog if you prefer the thighs lift in up dog. Excellent. Downward dog, take your time. How do you want to get there? A little more spread, and then keep these really rooted when you do that pull down. Stretch your right leg up into the air. Let's come back to those hip circles. So bend your bend your right knee and just rotate your right hip around slowly. It doesn't matter how many you do or which direction they are, but just try not to fling and swing in this. Make it really activating so you can feel your muscles doing the things. Lift your left heel off of your yoga mat, shift forward towards a plank, and step your right foot outside of your right hand. If it doesn't make it, if it doesn't make it, use your hands. Oh, buddy, it's okay. So you're going to be in a low dragon lunge. Right foot outside the right hand, left knee down. When I teach at studios and clubs, I oftentimes am mirroring. You can bring your left knee down. I'm oftentimes mirroring. So now I have my rights and my lefts kind of mixed up. So just keep that in mind. And if it looks like I'm moving with my right leg, but I'm saying left, that's why. So with your right leg outside of your right arm, firm up your arms, keep broadening through your chest, your upper back, your collarbones, but squeeze your right leg into your arm. Beautiful. Keep your foot planted really firmly and move your right leg away from your arm like a wing on a dragon, but don't let your foot move. So it's only going to come out a little bit. Yes. Coming from the hip, let's do a few more. Hip adduction, you're squeezing against your arm. And then hip adduction, you're floating it away slightly. One more time. Now for the transition, you could do a couple different things. You could tuck your back toes under, lift your left knee and just step to a down dog. Actually, let's do that this time. I changed my mind. Tuck your back toes, lift your left knee, step back, down dog. For those of you that really like to do vinyasa yoga, now is the time for you to take your mini flow here, your Ardha Vinyasa flow. Otherwise, we're just going to stay and hold our down dog stretch, lengthening through our spine column, lifting the pelvis away from our rib cage. And then stretch your left leg up and back. Bend your left knee nice and strong. Rotate your left hip around in a circle. Maybe go both ways a couple times. And now lift your right heel off of your mat. Try to get it as high as the way up your mat. Then do whatever you need to do to step your left foot outside of your hand, because nobody cares. Right knee to the ground. I'm almost ready to take my long sleeve shirt off. Are you?
Oh my goodness.
Okay. Isometrics. Nothing really moves too much here on this first one. You're just going to squeeze your leg into your arm and keep your foot planted and open your leg slightly away from your body, just like a wing. And again, squeeze it back towards your arm, nice and strong. And then move it away without changing your foot position. So it's all happening in your hip. Last one. Hug your arm. And then move it away. Great. Tuck your back toes, lift your right knee off the mat, step back, down dog. Optional vinyasa for those of you that like to flow. Otherwise, just breathe. Breath sounding like a wave. Might be a slight pause after your exhale. That's pretty nice. Now lift your heels and walk yourself to the front of your mat. Set your feet about hip wide. Some of you might like your feet all the way together. And then come up just halfway. Try to make your back feel like your tabletop. Bring your fingers to your shins. Anti-shrug your shoulders. Make your neck long. Tuck your chin slightly. Hands to your hips. Elbows hug in towards your midline. And then use your back body, your strong tush and hamstrings to stand all the way up. Squeeze your butt. Inhale, raise your arms. Exhale, bring your hands together near your heart. And walk to the front of your mat. Step your feet a little closer, maybe, just your natural Tadasana stance. Pedal your legs a little bit. Close your eyes. Now that you've had a chance to move and breathe a little bit, maybe your head feels a little clearer, a little more space between your thoughts. Now might be a good time to consider an intention for your day or your practice. Maybe just a positive statement for yourself. Something that's going to give you comfort or confidence. What kind of energy do you need today? You can open your eyes, raise your arms on your inhale, reach for the sky, long side body. Exhale, hinge from your hips. You can bend your knees a little bit, fold all the way down. Come up halfway, lengthen your spine again, nice and strong, and then fold forward. Bend your knees, step your left leg back, and bring your left knee down underneath your hip. So now right ankle about under the knee. Bring your left knee underneath your hip, all the way to your mat. Now this is where you might need your towel or your blanket, something to pad your left knee if you have any tenderness in your knees. Now this position is different than low crescent lunge. So I'm not gonna have my hips forward in front of my knee. Let's try to get that left hip directly over the left knee. Back toes can either be curled or tucked, but what we want here is the pelvis to be almost tucked under, or at least in a neutral position for now. And then Jubilee, let's go ahead and everyone actually, kick your left toes towards the right side of your mat. So you're rotating on that left leg. Yeah, now bring your right arm out in front of you. Right arm out in front of you. Left arm behind you. Now you can let your hips open a little bit towards the wall there. Perfect. We're gonna use this right leg and the left glutes to pull ourselves forward. So just pull your hips forward, yes, and then push yourself back. See if you can use your right hamstrings to pull your body forward and your left glutes to pull your hips back. Yes, 3 more. Can you feel it? Two more times. So this feels a little bit like a kneeling warrior pose. We're gonna do 1 more. Right hamstrings pull you forward. Left glutes and hamstrings kind of pull you back. Beautiful. Now pivot your toes towards the back of your mat again. Bring your hands to the floor. Tuck your back toes under. Step your left foot forward. Forward fold. Come up halfway as you inhale, long and strong. And fold. Bend your knees a little. Step your right leg backwards and bring your right knee down underneath your hip. Half kneeling position, upright your spine. And then pivot on this lower leg so that your toes turn behind you. Open up like a kneeling warrior 2 pose. Left hamstrings pull you into the stretch. Right glutes pull you back. Let's do that 3 more times. Pull in, push back, pull in, push back. And then pivot back, toes to the rear of your mat, hands down, tuck your toes, lift your knee, step back, down dog. For those of you that are flowing, I'll guide you through. Inhale to a high plank, nice and steady. Exhale, pull yourself halfway or all the way down. Cobra or an upward face dog, tops of the feet pressed, thighs energized. Downward facing dog. All right, now we're ready to have some fun. As if we weren't already. Haha. Drop onto your knees for a moment. And Jubilee, I'm gonna have you just face the camera on your knees like this. So you could use your towel or your blanket if needed. And then bring your right hand down and step your left foot towards what's the front of your mat, right knee about under your hip. So it looks a little bit like a kneeling side plank, everybody. And then let's go on to the fingertips of the right hand. So they're just barely touching. Bring your awareness now to the side core here on both sides and float your left leg. Bring your left arm to reach over your head. And then as you exhale, we're gonna pull this left leg into external rotation and flexion and hide your left arm behind your back. Yes. When you inhale, you're gonna straighten it back out to where you started. Exhale, tuck, and half wrap your arm. 1 more. Great. Now set your left foot back down for a second. We're going to try to find our balance here on this right shin, knee, top of the foot. So this is where, again, you might need the padding. I can show you this first and then you can just join me. This is going to be a little time to kind of play and have fun. So left leg will float and then you're going to try to tip so your right hand also floats. And you're going to be balancing using your right hip. But this left leg, left core, right core, all of that stuff has to try to self-organize to maintain balance. Jubilee's got her hands on her hips. So any version of a side plank, keeping the hand down and the leg up. Maybe the leg goes down and the hand goes up and you just hold this, or you're going to teeter and try to find your balance. Holy moly. Yeah, good stuff, right? Okay, let's return back to a kneeling position. Just sit back on your heels or your yoga block. Right hand down beside you, left arm up and over, stretch through your left side and root down through your left sitting bone. Left side of the pelvis real heavy, soft neck. Lengthen through your side waist and ribs. And then bring yourself back up to shins. Left hand down, maybe just to fingertips. Right leg out for a side plank modified. Right arm reaches upwards. Now float your right leg. Reach your right arm past your ear. This will be your inhale position. And then as you exhale, that leg on top, that right leg externally rotates, flexes, and the right arm hides behind your back. Inhale, reach and kick. Exhale, it's like a crunch. Let's do 2 more on this side. Do you feel things happening in your hips? She's gonna kill me later. Okay. Beautiful. Okay. Just take a moment to recover. Ground through your right foot and left hand. Side plank, just regular style. You can stay here the whole time. We are going to do the full version of side plank eventually. But for now, we're interested in not just the side core. We're interested in how this left hip can help us stabilize in this kind of side balancing position. So try to put a little less weight into your left hand, maybe just the fingertips touch. You could try to just float the upper body to that diagonal line. You could try just to lift the leg, or you could find the teeter. Jubilee, I feel like this side's better for you.
This side is better.
It's way better. So make sure we're breathing. And your breathing has to adapt to the demand of your practice. So right now your breathing might be a little different than what it was in the beginning. Our breathing should be responsive to the practice, not necessarily rigid. How long can you hold that teeter? That is a technical term. Self-organizing core here. Oh my goodness, let's take a break. Come back to kneeling on the block, on your feet, whatever feels good. Left arm down, right arm reaches up, maybe over, side stretch on the right side of your spine. All right, let's make our way back to downward facing dog. And Jubilee, you and I are going to go this way so that we're facing the camera when we do our warrior series. Downward face, hips reach up. Heels don't have to touch, but there's an intention there of grounding. So we can feel that nice stretch through the backs of the legs. Lift your heels, stretch your right leg up and back. Step your right foot near your right thumb. Lengthen your sternum forward, put more weight in your legs. Yep, and then you're gonna come up. You already knew what we were doing, didn't you? On your exhale, sweep your arms back, lean your body forward. Bring your spine upright. We're gonna open up for our warrior 2. So set your back heel down. That left foot's on a diagonal, right knee's bending, right toes forward. Gorgeous. And then try to bring your spine vertical right over your pelvis. Gaze can go over your right hand. Right outer hip is helping to keep your right thigh bone rotating outward and into that abducted state, which we've already done a lot of. So we should be feeling pretty strong there. Reverse your warrior. Side angle pose for today. We're just going to go right arm inside the right leg and press. Press your leg into your arm. Press your arm into your leg. Left arm goes high. Lengthen out your exhales just a bit more for one more round. Push the floor away, straighten your legs, turn all 10 toes to the long side of your mat. Arms can stay out like a T. You could take your hands to your heart. Turn your left toes outward a few degrees. Bend your left knee for a side lunge. You can stay high like this, or you could get really low like a ninja. Now face towards the back of your mat. Runner's lunge. Optional vinyasa from here, or a down dog will do. Recalibrate your breathing. Trying to keep it smooth, supportive, nourishing, somewhat conservative. Maybe there's that slight pause after your exhale before you take a new breath. Now lift your heels as high as they'll go. Stretch your left leg upwards. And then slowly creep that left leg forward to land inside of your left hand. More weight in your legs. Lift your sternum slightly, fly your arms back, come on up, crescent. Arms can go anywhere, so they can be over your head, they could be out in front here, they could even be at your heart. Hinge your body forward on a diagonal, take your arms behind you. Rise back up to upright. Open up to warrior two. Set your right heel down, yes, bend your left knee till you feel a challenge that's sustainable. And then instead of thinking about where the knee is in space, observe what's happening in this left outer hip. If you can't feel much work there, use those muscles to rotate your leg externally so that your knee does sort of move open towards the pinky toe edge of your foot. Stay long on both sides of your spine and reverse your warrior. Left arm high, right arm relaxes. Side angle pose. Use your left shoulder and your left hip to create a little resistance against one another. As you push the floor away, open up to the star, all 10 toes to the long side of your mat. Angle your right toes out a few degrees. Choose an arm position for your flying monkey side lunge. Lift up just enough that you can pivot to face what will be the front of your mat now. Step back, downward dog, optional flow if that's in your practice and you want to go for it. Lift your heels, walk, step, or hop your feet forward. Could be little tiptoe baby steps, hiking your hips. And then let's just dangle for a moment. Release any tension or holding or unnecessary gripping around your head, neck, and shoulders. Notice if there's a different experience in your breath when you're hanging upside down. You can think of your trunk as a cylinder and use your breath to create equal expansion in 360 degrees all around that cylinder so that your sides and your back fill up just as much as your front does. Bend your knees. You can either hinge up to stand like an upward salute, or you can articulate and roll up slowly. Fine, Tadasana, just stand up nice and tall. Eyes can close for a moment. Notice how things are changing. Noticing without judging, labeling, noticing just to learn, to be the observer. And then open your eyes if they were closed and get your yoga block. We're going to face the camera. to show everyone how to do this next thing. Now this one can be just a little tricky, so do your best. And we're gonna go for it. Stand on your block with your right foot. If you don't have a yoga block, you can easily do this on a book or something about this size. I think this is like a 4x6 block. Stand up on that block and float your left leg in the air. And then bring your left foot to the inside of your right leg like tree pose. We're gonna keep this left leg still. Chest, pelvis right now facing the front. But we're gonna use this right hip joint to rotate. So I want you to think about turning your right toes open to the right. And as you do that, your body will rotate to the left. So try that a few times. If you think about rotating that right foot like that, your whole body, you feel it? It might be a small movement. And the tendency here is to fling this left leg open more, but you're just going to try to keep this tree pose shape and use your right hip instead. A couple more. Yeah, balance is also an issue here. That's why a wall is a good thing. All right, let's switch legs. Okay, so just hover the right leg, find your stability. This left knee can stay bent a little bit. That always helps me find my hamstrings. So it's up to you. And then right foot just inside that left lower leg. Keep everything else just like it is. But you're gonna rotate from the left hip, which if you're thinking about what your foot would do in that scenario, you would try to turn your left toes outward to the left, away from your midline. As a result, your body is gonna rotate the other direction. So like you're turning down the volume on the radio. Who even listens to the radio anymore? Nobody. I guess some people probably do. Okay, let's step off of that. Okay, we're gonna use the block now, and if you don't have one, no sweat, and you might not even need it. We're headed for half moon pose. So you can just do it from here. You could also, at any time, kind of work your way into it from a warrior position. But I feel like we often practice this from warrior position. And so today, this will just give you maybe a more unique experience. So we're gonna start from Tadasana, but Jubilee and I are gonna face towards the short end of our mat. And actually, you should do that too. So you can just listen to the instructions. If it bothers your neck to look back at the camera, I'll try to instruct you in a way that doesn't require you to look at the camera. So starting in Tadasana, put your block in your right hand. And let's make just a really easy tree pose here. So don't worry about how high you get that left leg. Just put your left foot to the inside of your right leg. And then reach your block out in front of you. Reach your left arm out to the side, about shoulder height. Bend your right knee a little bit. And just like you did when you were standing on the block, you're going to visualize rotating your right toes outwards so that your body can rotate open to the left and start to tip sideways like a teapot. Your right hand and block are starting to get closer to the ground. You stay there. Stand your left foot on the wall behind you. Pull your left toes towards your shin. Yep. And then you can set that block down if you want. Move it more to the right. Yep. So wrist under shoulder, block under wrist. Yep, that's it. Lay your body open, take up a lot of space here. Yes. Oh, that's making it harder to look forward. Look at her go. Now look up at your left thumb if you want to make it even harder. Oh my gosh. Okay, so here's the trick. Let's try to go back the way we went in. Leave the block where it is. Bend your right knee a little bit. Keep your arms expanding. Remember when you had that resistance band. Imagine that you're stretching the resistance band. Bend your left knee. Kick your tush with your left heel. Start to come out of the sideways tipping and rotate to face the short side of your mat. How'd that go? Oh my gosh, legs are like jello. Yeah, good. And that's where you're feeling it, that you did it exactly right. Okay, now we're going to give them the other view. So put your block in your left hand. Stand in your Tadasana, please. Bring your left arm straight out in front of you. Hold the block, right arm out to the side. Bring your right foot to the inside of your lower left leg, or you could just kickstand the right toes too. Sorry, I should have mentioned that. Little bend in your left knee might help you find your hamstrings support. And then you're going to start to spin your left toes to the left, but they're not going to move. So it's happening in your hip instead. Eventually, that right leg's going to start to reach back towards the wall behind you. Open your heart and your hips to the long side of your mat. Teeter in just like you did on your knees. Maybe you set your block down. Make sure that yoga block doesn't land right in front of your toes. Move it off to the left and forward quite a ways. Yep. And then lift the right leg strong from your right outer hip. Pull your toes towards your shin. Beauty. Take up a lot of space. Expand through your chest. One more breath. Bend your right knee. Kick your seat. Slow. Can you leave the block where it is and come out using your core to help you find your balance? Yes. Make noises. It helps. Good. Yay. Okay. Looks like we are getting a little bit, where are we at for time? Yeah, we're at 51 minutes, so we should probably start to take it down. We could do lots of fun things with that and enter and exit half moon several different ways. So it's never a bad idea to try a new transition. If you always do it from warrior two, or you always do it from triangle pose or a reverse pose, try it a different way. Because it becomes a new experience. It becomes a learning experience for your body and your mind, because we can't really separate the two. They work together. So let's you and I go ahead and head this way, face this way, short side of the mat. And inhale, raise your arms, take that upward salute, long and strong on both sides. Exhale, hinge at your hips and fold. You might want another forward fold here for a few breaths just to dangle your spine. If you want something a little bit more maybe energetic or strong, you could use your hands to help your trunk fold over your legs. Still keeping a lot of work here in the front body to shorten the gap between your thighs and your trunk. Stay strong in your legs, long in your neck. And then choose a transition from here to eventually get down onto your seat. You could come through a traditional vinyasa, or if you want to go along with us, what we're going to do is just to start to sit down towards our heels like we're squatting. The heels might have to lift eventually. Pull your hips towards your heels. And then there's an element of trust here at some point as we start to lean back. Let's separate the legs a little bit, Jube. Yeah, like butterfly. And then ploop down on your seat. Oh, good. Okay. We probably could have made that a more graceful transition, but this is real life, so we're not going to worry about that. Come onto your back. Keep your knees bent, feet wide. And your arms could either be out to a T, maybe a cactus-like position, or just laying beside your body. Doesn't matter too much. We're just going to take it easy here for a second. Let your knees rest together. Keep your feet a little wider. Yeah, so pull your feet in closer to your bum. And then keep your feet wide and knees together. That's it right there. Does it feel okay on your back to do it that way? Yeah. So essentially just make yourself comfortable for a moment or two. And let's find that 3D breathing again. Visualize that core cylinder. Try to find some expansion through your side ribs, through your back ribs, especially those low back ribs. Sometimes that's a hard spot to find expansion in. Minimize any expansion that you might be experiencing in your high chest or neck or shoulders. Just about 3 to 5 more slow inhales and exhales through your nose. Tune into any sounds that you're hearing besides me. You might be hearing some noise from outside, noise from inside your home. There might be some internal dialogue going on. Practice being the witness of all of that without attaching, without adding to the story. Heel toe your feet in a little bit closer now and bring your knees to stack directly over your hips so that your shins are about parallel to the floor. I changed my mind. Set your feet back down. I forgot to give you one instruction. Slide your hips a little to the left. Yeah, and now take your legs up and you're gonna bring your legs over to the right for a twist. And if it feels like that's too deep, which it almost does for me, we can use our yoga block. Looks like it's okay for you, right, Jube? Okay, you could use your yoga block underneath your right leg or maybe even in between your legs to decrease the intensity. And just let your left shoulder be nice and heavy. You can turn your head in any direction. Bring your awareness to the left side of your spine, that easy spiral. No pushing or pulling to get ourselves deeper into this twist, just trying to find contentment with where our body landed naturally. That's almost always enough. We only need to take what we need. Let your left leg lead you back out of the rotation and give both legs a squeeze into your chest after you situate your hips back to kind of a neutral position. Feel your low back grounding. Set your feet down. Lift and shift your hips a little to the right side now, and then spine twist to the left. You can stack or stagger your legs if it doesn't feel right to do it the way that I instructed you. Remember, you're always in charge, especially since you're at your own house and I can't see you. You can do whatever you want. You gonna play footsie with me? Yeah. I think my feet are a little cold now. Draw your inner awareness to the space that lives between your right hip and your right armpit. Using your soothing breath around that area, expanding and softening, filling yourself up, and then emptying yourself back out. And then let your right leg lead you back to a neutral position. Arrange your spine down the center of your mat, set your pelvis to neutral, and then organize your body in a resting pose. Whatever that looks like for you. You could lay on your side, you could roll onto your stomach, you could lay flat like Shavasana style. If you want to cover your eyes, that might be good. Jubilee worked up a little sweat. Make sure it feels right so that you can really relax here for a little bit. Let go of any control over your breathing. Just let it flow naturally, organically. Invite profound effortlessness into your body. And take rest. And keep your body right where it is for now. No need to change anything. Bring your senses back to this time, this body, this breath, observing, allowing, and accepting what is right now. It's a challenging thing to ask. We can't control the chaos. We can't tame it, but we can choose our response. And that is actually a skill that we get better at if we practice it. And sometimes we don't respond very gracefully, but that's not a mistake, really. It's just an opportunity to learn. Bring your awareness back to your breathing and make it more intentional. Subtle inhale followed by a more complete exhalation. Feeling that soft space after your exhale ends before you take a new breath. And then you can start to integrate some awakening movements throughout your body in a way that makes sense for you right now. Take your time, there's no rush. I'd like to thank you all for joining me today. Jubilee, you can stay put for a minute if you want. Enjoy that rest. And I will keep you posted when we're going to do another one. I hope you are taking care of yourselves, doing nice things for you, your family, your friends, and even strangers. Everyone could use just a little more patience, compassion. I'm really trying, and sometimes I fail, but your best is always good enough. So just keep that in mind, and I'll see you soon. Namaste. Okay. Well, hooray. End my stream.